On today's show, Lonzo Ball is the perfect high risk, high reward option for the Dallas Mavericks at point guard. We'll tell you why in today's Locked On Mavs. All right, I got Mark Tatum back up.
I mean, if we get top two, that's insane.
Fourth pick is the Charlotte Hornets.
The Charlotte Hornets.
Philadelphia 76ers.
Oh, okay.
Oh my God.
Okay.
Mavericks versus
Stop it. Stop. The number one pick will go to the Dallas Mavericks. Cooper Flagg will fly in Dallas.
Dogs, all of us, all five.
You are Locked On Mavs, your daily Dallas Mavericks podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network.
Still can't leave.
Your team every day.
I'm gonna get a city like that.
And welcome. You are locked on to the Dallas Mavericks, your team every day. My name is Nick Angstadt, media member covering the Dallas Mavericks for 10 years. Thanks for being an everydayer, making Locked On Mavs your first listen. Joining me, as always, my co-host, media member covering the Dallas Mavericks for 10 years, right alongside me, the trade machine maniac, the one we're thinking. What you got for me, Isaac Harris?
I started planning a Disney trip with the family for the fall, so I need more of you guys to listen to this podcast and share the podcast because this stupid stuff is so expensive. If y'all have any tips, do you have a tip for me for Disney World, taking the family?
I was 4 years old when I went to Disney World, so
Isaac dropping multiple stacks on this trip.
I don't know if they still have it. It was like an alien interactive ride thing.
What?
Like an interactive show. You know what I mean?
An alien one?
Have I talked about this before with you?
No.
I was scarred by this as a kid.
Yeah, I know. I got like soft kicked out as softly as they could at Disney World. I was terrified.
At Disney World?
Yeah, Disney World.
Yeah.
I do not remember this at all.
Oh, it's one of my earliest childhood memories. I just told my wife this whole story the other day.
Yeah, I don't know if it was tied to a Disney property or whatever, but.
Oh, and as always, joining us, the postgame prodigy from the Great Slightly Biased YouTube channel. Slightly Biased is apparently still scarred for life from this alien ride at Disney.
It still haunts me to this day.
Today's episode, we got some rumors on some guards the Mavericks are going to target. We'll talk about Chris Paul, a name to monitor for the Mavericks. We'll talk about Jrue Holiday. The Mavericks are going to explore that deal. We'll talk about why I'm out on that one completely. But let's start here with Lonzo Ball. According to Mark Stein, while also maintaining an interest in a more reasonable target, and the more reasonable target he mentions is Lonzo Ball. Lonzo Ball is a fascinating option for the Mavericks here for me. 28 years old in October when the season starts. He's going to make $10 million this year. $10 million is a team option the year after. He signed that deal after returning from injury. And returning from injury is like the understatement of the year. He was out for 1,013 days from the time that he had his first injury to when he came back. Between those points, the Mavs made the Western Conference Finals, missed the postseason, made the NBA Finals, and then had like half their season last year. It's absolutely insane to see everything that's happened since he last played. It was like 2021 basically when he went out. I like Lonzo Ball. I think if everything works out, if he's healthy, he's absolutely the perfect fit for what this Mavs team want to do. He's bigger. He's a playmaker. He plays fast. Jason Kidd said on a recent interview that he wants to play faster. He always says that, but he does. Lonzo does that, and he shot 38% from three the last 4 seasons he's played. He's a good impact defender, I would say. He does check a lot of boxes for this Mavs team.
Yeah, he does. And I think it's all about the cost, right? Like when you start thinking about different names across the board, it's like, yes, on paper, I'd rather have Derek White than Lonzo Ball as far as talent wise and health wise and all the stuff. But it's like, what's it going to cost to get some of these guys out there? And that's where I think when it comes to Lonzo, considering their whole situation with Chicago, one, I think a phone call with Chicago, with Dallas and Chicago, there's so many different iterations of stuff that you could do because they have a backcourt log jam. They're probably going to pay Josh Giddey, I'm assuming. I wouldn't be trying to get rid of Kobe White if I was them. If they did,
they should.
Number one option.
To the Mavs, they should give it.
But when you get to some of these bargain type of players like Alonzo, I think I would go into it if I'm not going to get a Kobe White this summer, I think I'm going into it trying to get two guys. I think I'm going into it trying to find a cheaper trade that I can make, and then I'm trying to bring in a minimum type of guy too, and adding 2 of those guys to a Brandon Williams, and hoping that one of those guys can stand out above the other until Kyrie comes back, and you kind of have this like committee, unless you get a guy like Kobe White. But yeah, I mean, I'm just down for the swing Alonzo for all the reasons you said, the size, the style of play. $10 million. That's not a ton of money with a team option.
It's nothing
for the
us,
year.
right?
I
Trip
mean,
to Disney.
not for Slap. I don't even know if that could get me in the Toy Story ride for 10 million. But I think when you look at, he has that $10 million team option for the year after that, for not next season, but the year after that. It's just like a good contract. You're asking, he can come off the bench. He has size. I'm just down for it. And I think there's a lot of different iterations of trades that you could pursue him.
It's funny. Just listening to you talk, Isaac, it reminded me so much of those times where you're like, yeah, just go get like JaVale McGee and some other center, and one of these guys will be good enough.
None of us were so in on JaVale McGee. None of us.
Well, no, man.
None of us in this room.
It was kind of
down.
Isaac was so down on JaVale.
Yeah.
Oh, I
fun of
thought
him.
JaVale McGee made a lot of sense.
I thought he'd be
to fair.
fine.
But it reminds me so much of that, where it's just, I think that probably is what they do. I don't know. I got to be honest with you. Like, he's played 70 games the last 4 calendar years with 0. This actually surprised me, but I guess he's never played in a playoff game in his career.
Yeah, he was on those bad Lakers teams.
But guys,
and
you're
now he's been in
missing
Chicago.
He's not wearing Big Baller Brand anymore.
True.
Honestly, probably fixed everything. Like,
honestly, he's made a comment about that, like how it jacked up his stuff. Yeah,
I'm really happy he's back playing, and he is like really good. What does the trade even look like there? Do we have mock trades?
There you go.
Thank you.
Tee him up.
All right,
let's go. All right, here's a couple. Jaden Hardy and Omax for Lonzo, straight up.
Done. Call it in. I'm totally in on that. I have no idea why the Bulls do that though.
Why not? You have Kobe White, you have Josh Giddey, you also have Io.
They gave him this contract because they were raving about how good he was for their young players. And
how is he going to play? Like, I mean, unless you don't pay Josh Giddey, it's like, okay, your fourth guard, like your third guard. Like,
yeah, your fourth guard, you're paying $10 million. Like, honestly, like that's.
I don't. I just for them, it's like I could see for all the reasons you're like, hey, cool, he played 35 games last year. Why not us take a swing at Omax and less of Jaden Hardy, but like taking a swing at Omax. Okay, I could see Orlando doing that, by the way. But here's
I
one.
can see Chicago do it as well.
Did I say Orlando?
Yeah, you did.
Yeah,
we were talking about fake Orlando trades.
Oh, I was like, Gafford and Omax for Lonzo and Io.
See, that one you get your 2 swings on it.
Mm-hmm.
You get your 2 different options. You get Lonzo, who we just talked about. Then
preferably,
you
could do Gafford and Jaden Hardy for Lonzo and Io.
I was just about to ask, are we sure Hardy's not a negative
No, I think he is.
Trade asset currently? Okay.
Yeah, I think he is.
So the first trade would be the Bulls being like, yeah, we'll do Omax. Like, we kind of like it.
Omax and then just Hardy's salary, whatever it is.
Yeah.
I also think there's an appeal for them to get Daniel Gafford. Like, they don't have another.
Well, let's do it right this time.
Vooch isn't expiring. They could be. I mean, they shopped him at the deadline. So have a rim roller with Giddey and with Kobe White and stuff.
I'd hate that trade
for the Mavs.
I would, yeah, for the Mavs.
It's basically like shuffling. I don't want to say shuffling the chairs on the Titanic because that would mean we're going to sink. But you're just shuffling the chairs around a little bit on the roster of, instead of having a third center and instead of having Omax at the end of the bench, you're shifting those 2 spots to 2 guys that could be playing even when Kyrie comes back, and you get 2 swings at it, adding those 2 guys to a Brandon Williams and stuff. So I like both of those guys in Chicago. Yeah. I think they would probably say, hey, Gafford for Lonzo straight up. The only way I'm listening to that if I'm Dallas is if Daniel Gafford's looking at you saying, if you're not going to give me starter money, then I'm going to be out this summer.
That's a big question.
Like,
yeah.
And even then, you might look at it and say, you might say, well, okay, we'll just swing. Like, we'll take still another year of you and you go somewhere else. But
or just wait till the deadline.
Yeah, true. You could do that too. But either way,
can they wait to the deadline to? I guess to extend Gafford they can, but I don't think they can wait on this move.
Well, they could wait and just say, we're not trading you for Lonzo. Like, we still have AD and Lively who are injury prone, so we'll just keep you. And if we're healthy at the deadline and still need a guard, we'll trade you then.
Yeah. because there's a world that they could go out this offseason and add like 2 minimum contract guys that they think is good enough, which we're about to talk about one in a second possibly, and saying, hey, all right, these 2 guys and Brandon Williams, can y'all hold it together until Kyrie comes back? And then therefore you kind of just hold on to Gafford and PJ and stuff at that point.
Interesting. Lonzo Ball, a pretty good option, but definitely a risk. He would be a huge risk for the Mavericks, and it would depend on what they would give up. We talked about a couple options coming up. Let's get into another name that came up, Jrue Holiday. Are we in on him? Bigger money, bigger defense, bigger heart. We'll talk about that and more. Come on. Today's episode of Locked On Mavs brought to you by Wayfair. They got just what you need. The days are getting longer. The weather's warming up. Actually, it's getting cooler, oddly, in Dallas. It's very weird this week. The people are spending more time outside. If it's 80, though, you do want to spend some time outside, actually, in Dallas, which is great. It's time to refresh your outdoor space. You can do that with Wayfair. They have everything you need to make it feel more like you and feel exactly how you want to feel when you walk outside into that space. Grab patio dining set, string lights. Wayfair has all that kind of stuff to extend your outdoor space. They have a bunch of a bunch of different kind of styles and things like that. You can also see different things in different colors, which is great. I've loved using Wayfair in the past. Delivery is free and hassle-free, even for big stuff. I got a big drink cabinet delivered, and it was delivered in a box straight to my door. I could put it together. Didn't have to figure out if it fit in my car, all that kind of stuff. Shop a huge selection of outdoor furniture online this summer. Get outside with Wayfair. Head to wayfair.com right now. That's WAYFAIR.com. Wayfair, every style, every home.
Shut it down! Let's go home!
Thanks for hanging out with us on Locked On Mavs, being part of the show, part of the Raccoon Squad, what we call our listeners. We appreciate each one of you for checking out the show. Go check out Slightly Biased, great YouTube channel, all kinds of stuff happening over there, streaming, doing things, calling people out.
Am I doing that?
All kinds, I don't know. All kinds.
So say, who are you calling out? Huh?
making friends, kissing babies. I don't know. He could be doing anything on his stream. He streams for a while.
Dude, he was playing this fun game the other day. I was watching him play this fun game of who guessed the jump shot.
Oh yeah, jump shot guesser.
Yeah, it was pretty good. It was fun.
They black out the silhouette. It's just the silhouette. You have to guess who it is.
That's pretty fun.
I like
That's pretty fun. We also have the Locked On Mavs text line 214-643-8637. Check the link in the description to text Isaac and I and get questions answered on all kinds of different stuff. And we sent some info on some of these guys today. And another one was Jrue Holiday. So this is where Stein kind of started his report today, but we already have talked about Jrue a couple times. He said, quote, league sources say Dallas is expected to at least explore whether there are any feasible trade pathways to Boston's Jrue Holiday. Complicated as that would be, given 3 years, $104 million still left on Holiday's contract. I'm completely out on this because I think it would take too much to get somebody who's going to be 35 in June. Slightly, you're nodding your head. You're out on this one too.
Well, I've just I watched a lot of Celtics games this year in the playoffs, so I just think Drew's probably washed at this point in time. He's older now, and it's like if he were 28, I could have been like, they had such a long postseason run the year before. He's probably just gassed, and that's probably it. But he's going to turn 35 before next season even starts. And he looked a step slow. And I don't know too many 35, 36-year-olds who have regained their lost step in their careers. So that's what would concern me. I mean, if this were 2 or 3 years ago, I'd be banging the drum saying whatever it is, the price it would make sense. But I do think there's pathways, though, that this trade, because I don't view Jrue Holiday the Jrue Holiday to me is a negative asset. That if the Celtics are dead set on salary cap relief and we need to get out of the apron or whatever, the second apron, or at least just get our tax bill down more, they're going to have to attach stuff to Jrue. And that opens up the door to interesting possibilities, in my opinion, for the Mavs, if that's the route they wanted to go.
Yeah, I'm out. And it's really tough for me to say that.
Even if they attach other stuff like Slightly was saying?
Well,
what would they add, actually?
I freaking love Jrue.
Do you want me to pull out a 4-teamer I made?
Please.
Because you want to know what the first thing I would do if I were Nico Harrison this summer?
Oh my God.
Quit?
Quit.
Resign?
All right, let's say Nico Harrison gets fired. I'm the new GM. All right, here's the first thing I'm doing.
Good hands.
I'll deal with Kyrie first and foremost because I think that's important. But then I'm talking to Daniel Gafford. I'm saying, what do you want? If you want starter money, I'll respect that, and we'll try to get you somewhere where that could happen for you. Okay?
Then he's like, Rob, Austin Reeves.
Yeah, I mean, I would do that, but I'd also call Atlanta because they need a center. They have a trade exception from the DeJounte trade that could basically absorb all of Gafford's contract. They have so much space under the apron, and they have 2 picks in this year's draft. So I feel like I could get something somewhat interesting there without bringing a bunch of return back. And I made this like 4-team trade where Gafford goes to the Hawks. Mavs get 22nd overall pick this year.
Mavs CBA is about to light you on fire.
No. I was DMing him about this trade. I DM'd him about this trade specifically. But the Mavs get Vic Krejci, who actually isn't terrible. But that works for the Hawks
6'8"
salary-wise.
point guard, can shoot, all that.
Right. I'm just kind of reading the writing on the wall with PJ as well. PJ to the Celtics. Mavs get a future first from the Celtics and Jrue. And then you just pawn Caleb Martin off to the Nets for salary dump, and they get a bunch of second-round picks.
Just pawn him off.
So the Mavs get Jrue, Vic Krejci, 2 firsts, and they save $3.5 million under this.
And Boston's given up a first.
Boston's giving up a first and Jrue, but
Is it this year's first for them?
no, 2027 first.
Oh, okay, interesting.
And you're also getting PJ back, and you're saving $18 million if you're the Celtics.
Huge.
Huge.
I mean,
That's
it is
the
for
only.
them.
That's the only way I would be in on it if you're getting stuff in return.
So the Mavs
for a
lose.
Jrue
The Mavs
trade.
lose PJ Gafford and Caleb Martin and get Jrue Holiday, Vic Krejci.
This would
And a
mainly be
first.
like you're already
Jrue is their
set
second.
on trading Gafford. Like you're already just kind of like we're gonna trade Gafford,
Yeah.
regardless of what our point guard situation might turn into. And then if we want Jrue, this is a way it could happen where you're also getting stuff in return.
I am a Caleb Martin believer. I'm not me being here looking to go his boots, but I believe that he's going to bounce back. I think he's the best perimeter defender on the roster, and I think they're going to need him in certain scenarios.
That's fine.
And so
Yeah.
That's your hang up on this one.
I know.
That was my final straw. No, you're also losing Gafford. And I just don't think Jrue Holiday's going to be that good for the Mavericks. You're losing 3 rotation players.
I agree. I don't want to do this, but this was in my brain how I was like, how would this even make sense?
Yeah, so it's really hard for me because I feel like if there's been a single complimentary player out there that I've like championed for over the past 5 to 7 years, it's been Jrue Holiday. But I just think we have reached that time, and it's about the contract mainly. It's like, yeah, he turns 35 over the summer here in a few weeks, and it's 32 and a half, then it's 34.8.
Yeah.
And then there's that player option in 2027, 2028 season for 37. Like, go ahead and just make that guaranteed right now. And he's going to be 37 years old. And that's the stuff. It's like super tough, hard with it. Like, even if you did figure out some way to, trade for him, you're looking at around like what, $75-80 million between Kyrie and Jrue.
Mm-hmm.
And both in the 30s. Drew's obviously older than him by 4 or 5
Klay
years.
in there too.
Yeah, and Klay. So it's all about, is Jrue better than like Lonzo Ball? Yes, he's better than Lonzo Ball. But it's like you're gonna have to like gut your team. Like here's a trade. Literally, somebody just tweeted at me a little bit ago, and this is from Triple Thread. He says it's just Boston and Dallas straight up. Klay Thompson, PJ, Omax for Jrue and a 2025 first, the 28th pick.
It's just I just won't do it. I'd rather have Klay and PJ.
You're keeping Gafford in that scenario, so you're swapping out Klay and PJ in the rotation since Omax isn't.
I'm looking at this tweet right now. The Celtics are taking on money in that trade. I mean, that would just never happen.
I don't even think that works.
I know it. Yeah.
And like I haven't proposed a lot of trades losing Klay because I think Klay holds the Mavs shooting together. Like, you lose Klay, all of a sudden your shooting goes way down, and that becomes such a big need for you. Like, who's shooting on this team without? I mean, it's Max Christie, it's Caleb Martin, it's Anthony Davis.
You're throwing Caleb Martin.
It's PJ. I am like, it's PJ Washington. Like, those are your those are the players you think are your shooters on this team. I mean, obviously Jaden Hardy if he plays enough.
So I don't even know what Klay's. The reason why I haven't even touched the potential Klay being involved in trade, I have no clue what his value would be. Is there a team desperate enough for shooting that would give up something, or a team's gonna look at him and be like 17 mil, 30, whatever? No, we're good on that. But
the team is the Mavericks.
Yeah,
they're desperate enough for shooting.
I mean, maybe Orlando's like, we got to get someone here who can shoot a three.
Fair.
Like, I don't know, but I guess in my scenario, I'm mainly looking to the future. And if it's like, man, PJ's going to want 20 something million and we can't pay Gafford, maybe now is our chance to get a return on value of these guys.
Yeah.
It's just Jrue. But the idea of Jrue is great because, yeah, he could play next to Kyrie in theory.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Like he could start in Kyrie's place. And then when Kyrie comes back, that could be your backcourt. But he just looks so slow.
If he was an expiring contract, then way more interested in some type of trades out there. It's just the age, how he looked kind of towards the end there. I get, it's the playoffs and stuff, and the contract stuff. That's why I'm like out, and it really hurts me because I love Jrue Holiday to say I'm out.
I also don't think he's the offensive answer the Mavs need.
No.
Right now at this very moment. Like if you say the Mavs need anything in a guard, like, hey, make a guard in 2K and just like I'm making him like a playmaker, offense first guy, set up, can shoot.
So like a Bronny James.
I mean, can he
like
do all those
Austin
things?
Reeves?
I'm honestly like, yeah, you'd
why
want
trade
like that.
why trade for Jrue when you can just trade for Bronny?
I thought of an Austin Reeves trade that I thought actually made sense.
Coming up, an Austin Reeves trade that makes sense, and Chris Paul. Do that in more. Locked On Mavs. We're talking about trades for Lonzo Ball, Jrue Holiday, and Chris Paul potentially. We'll talk about those guys. They've all been unofficially, rumored, leaked to the Mavericks. But Austin Reeves has been a name that's been thrown around a lot that people have just put out there because it just makes a lot of sense. The Mavs and Lakers already have an incredible relationship. I don't know if it's great, but I think it is incredible. So you have an Austin Reeves trade that you think actually makes sense.
Well, I don't think there's a direct one-on-one trade that makes much sense because I don't think they would trade Reeves for Gafford because I think people underrate Reeves' value whenever they say stuff like that. But I thought of this scenario because I was listening to our guys, Bill Simmons, and I think Russello. I don't know who he had on, but our guy Bill said that the Cavs should trade Jared Allen. Like that should be their top priority. And I thought, what if there's a world where Jared Allen to the Lakers, PJ to the Cavs, Reeves to the Mavericks, maybe the Mavs send a pick to Cleveland.
How much does Jared Allen make? Does that work?
It works. Wow. He makes $20 million.
What's Reeves' number at?
13.9. So in my mock trade, the Cavs also sent Connect to the Cavs.
I can't believe the Spurs didn't go out.
I love Jared Allen with Luka. We've been talking about him. I feel like we talked about him for so long before they got lively that he would be a really great center.
But that kind of matches the Lakers wouldn't trade Reeves unless it's for like a legit star. Like stars kind of
he's
strong.
He's made an all-star team, hasn't he?
Yeah, he's made two.
Two?
Yeah.
Imagine pairing up the young star duo.
Wait, he didn't make the all-star game this year?
No, he's made one.
Wait, what?
No.
Okay.
He made it in 2022 on the Cavs.
If you had the opportunity to pair up Max Christie and Austin Reeves again, the young star duo, I don't know what would be holding you back.
I don't know if Isaac's ever been more mad than when Bleacher Report one time put like a graphic that had Christie and Reeves on it and said rising star duo. And
it was awesome. I would love Reeves on this team, by the way. I mean, he would be great. He could play with Kyrie and stuff too. Yeah, I mean, I get that his value is more than Gafford. But is there some ascension conversation that happens in which you're trying to sell, like showing the highlights on the phone with like a little kick stand with the phone up on the ascension table? And it's like, hey, you see these lobs, this chemistry between Luka and Gafford? You had Jackson Hayes, and he's about 80 pounds lighter than Gafford. So do you want to recreate that chemistry in LA? We'll take Reeves from you. So Reeves just reminds me of Cobblepot, like from Gotham, the TV show, like the Penguin a little bit. But I would be down. I think he'd be a great
fat?
No. The new Penguin show, yes, but there was this old like Gotham.
Okay. Okay, I know what you're talking about now.
Chris Paul was also mentioned by Mark Stein. He said another name to monitor was Chris Paul. He's just turned 40 in May 6th, and he
happy belated.
But he just played 82 games. He's made $400 million in his career. Isaac and I were talking about this the other day, where we like, that's a lot of money. You think he would come and take a minimum deal for the Mavericks because he's a free agent? This is not a trade scenario we're talking about. Would you be down with Chris Paul coming in, making a minimum, and getting the opportunity to start basically until Kyrie comes back? And I think that's something that would be intriguing to some guys, especially a guy like Chris Paul.
Tell you slightly.
Oh, yeah, I'm in 100% on that, actually. I mean, a minimum for Chris Paul? What? Yes, that's
What's
an
the
easy
risk?
one.
What's the risk?
There's literally zero risk because you know for a fact you're bringing in a guy who's going to make your team better no matter what. I mean, even though he's 40 years old, I'm looking at his on-off numbers right now. He has literally never in his career, even in his old age, been a negative for any team that he's been on. In fact, he's been a ginormous positive for every single team he's played for. Even the Spurs this year were 9 points better when he was on the court as a 39-year-old point guard. 9 points. I mean, granted, he's playing on a young team and he's like the grown up there, but yeah, I mean, I think this makes a lot of sense to me. I'd have to imagine Chris Paul gets more than the minimum, though, would be my guess.
Yeah, I'm all in on this too. This would be my number one option over trading for Lonzo or anything.
Yeah, same.
If you work the relationships, this is the type of thing of when you brought Nico in, you're like, hey, it's the relationships around the league, right? Like that was the thing that was touted the most. And that's where there's a relationship with Nico. Obviously, he's friends with Kyrie, Anthony Davis. You would have the number 2 and number 3 all-time assist leaders in the building on the same team with Jason Kidd and Chris Paul. Two just geniuses. I mean, just insane. I mean, and all the on the court stuff too. He played in all 82 games last year. Yeah. I think one of the most impressive things out there. Yeah. I love the list every year that comes out. That's like, here's the players that played in all 82 games. I value that list. I think those players should get some type of award or incentive or something. I don't know. But no, I just be down. I like, how you'd fit on the court with, I mean, he's not going to play with Kyrie. I get it. And he's old and the defense and stuff, you're going to have to make up for that. But you're going to like have him show like Cooper Flagg where to go and what to do, get the ball to Anthony Davis, set guys up, like a Klay coming off screens and stuff. Like that's what you just need, somebody to run the offense. And for that price. Now, the thing that if you dig and read about his time in San Antonio, that he loved it, everybody loved him and everything. It was the being away from his family in California. That was like a tough thing for him. And can you convince him again for a lot less money to be away from his family at this point in his career? He feels like a minimum Lakers signing. That's like, oh man, for a minimum for the Lakers, that sucks.
Or the Clippers to go back.
Just to be with his family and stuff. And I would get it. But man, if they could convince him to come to Dallas, he'd be great. And even like I said this before, if your pitch is this one of these players like, hey, come start here for 3 months and before the trade deadline, if you want us to try to send you somewhere else, maybe we can try to do that too. If it's you don't want to be here all year. I don't know, but I'd be down for it.
Yeah, I'm 100% in on it. And I think that's, I mean, my number one guy, the only problem for this is my number one guy is Dennis Schroeder. I don't know how actually obtainable he would be because unless I'm mistaken, you're probably only going to have the taxpayer mid-level at your disposal. And I think you'd even have to maneuver.
I'm not even sure you're getting that right.
Yeah, you'd have to make deals to even get to that point, I think. So
you have to call up the Hawks for that Gafford trade.
Yeah, seriously. That's why I was saying.
Just save money.
That's why I'm saying that's like one of the first phone calls I would make, honest to God.
I think Bobby Marks said the Mavs to get like the full mid-level, you had to dump $20 million.
Yeah,
that's like that's the $10 million like exception, and that's how I think you would get Schroeder, and that's too much. Like to give up $20 million to get a $10 million player is.
I mean, if Schroeder were younger, I could maybe try and pitch him hey, you'll start for us. You'll be a starter on a team that's trying to be good. And hey, him and Cade were like plus 10 together when they played. Yeah. So even when Kyrie comes back, maybe you can still stay in and boost your value and go sign a big contract elsewhere. But he's like 32, I think. I just don't see that.
32 is so old.
Yeah, but I'm saying like for him, he was good enough last year with the Pistons and the Nets. Totally forgot he had that stint in Golden State. But so good at his other two places. Yeah,
he was the answer before Jimmy Butler was.
Like he was so good at those other two stops that some team out there will easily give him $10, $11 million.
I'm curious why we haven't heard Tyus Jones' name yet.
Did you watch any Suns games?
I mean, he averaged like 10 points, 5 assists. It's not like he was doing nothing. And I think the Suns stink is on more guys than.
I'm with you on that.
Like-
Yeah, I had 4 names I was going to throw at you just for minimum. Markelle Fultz, bringing back Dante Exum, Tyus Jones, Malcolm Brogdon. If they signed any one of those 4 for the minimum contract, are you like solid signing?
Exum, I'm like, okay. I'm not like I'm not like concerned. Like, oh my God, this team. If the team went into the season as they are right now, I'd be concerned. If they had Exum, I wouldn't be as concerned, right? Like,
Exum's the guy I'd want the most out of any of those.
Okay.
How many games has Brogdon played? Like, I don't feel like I didn't even hear his name last year.
Brogdon is another one I would be interested in.
Hello, Washington.
24 games. I mean, you look at his game. We talk about Lonzo. Brogdon is just not really the picture.
I feel like he's been on teams though that keep shutting him down though.
The weird thing about Washington is I would turn him on in League Pass just to like see Alex Sarr, and it's like, all right,
you hate yourself,
what are we working with here? It's not like I watched a ton of Washington games, but it felt like every time they were just playing these young guys over Brogdon, and I'm like, all right, cool. Why didn't you just trade him? And anyway,
what was he making this year? Like, was he in the 20s?
He was 6th man of the year 2 years
22 million this year. That's probably why.
Oh yeah, that's true.
Yeah, but he's a free agent now, and I don't think he's getting money from somebody. That would be somebody I would be totally in on.
You think he's gonna be just straight to vet, like straight to DVD, straight to vet minimum guy?
straight to DVD.
Like 22 million to vet min.
I just don't. How many teams are going to have one of these exceptions?
Yeah, that's very true.
Yeah, and that's the thing. You know, I think even going back, I think you said this on our subtext that you sent out, Nick, about Chris Paul, and it's like, would he be willing to come off the bench once Kyrie thing? And it's like, well, how many teams is he going to start for? Like, if he goes to an LA team, he isn't going to start. I mean, how many good teams? So that's the point. Like, we don't really know what somebody like Chris Paul's valuing right now. Is it family? Is it winning a title? Is it money? Is it role? So if it's family and money, then Dallas is out on that. If it's role and a chance to try to win a title or go for it, then Dallas is in. But yeah.
So Stein put also, if you want family or money, don't come to Dallas. We're not about that here. Stein also put in his Substack, you can be certain there will be interest in the 20-year-old veteran if he wants to keep playing after Paul just surpassed Utah legend John Stockton for playing and starting all 82 games so late in his career. You think Stein just pulled that stat out of the air? You know what I mean? Like, I'm reading between lines
Bobby
here a little bit.
I'm
like, I feel like, yeah, Bobby Crawl probably did. But I feel like that mattered to him, that he's one of the oldest to be able to do that and to start all those games, play all those games. And so I don't know, that the starting thing mattered to me. That's why I texted it out to everybody, because in Golden State, he did not like that he was not starting. And I think it was because he didn't like the guys that were starting ahead of him necessarily. But with Kyrie, that could be an option. Like, if you're going to sit for anybody, it would be Kyrie.